Welcome. This is one of the few live broadcasts that I get to do from home. Normally, as you know, I give the live broadcasts on the road. I do have this fiendish little device, the Gomco clamp. I bought it several months ago, and I'm going to do a demonstration with it today. I've been contemplating this demonstration for several months, and I did a brief demonstration in the park several months ago. Some of you may have seen that. I've got an instruction manual, and I've been meaning to teach myself to use this Gomco clamp, but honestly, it's just been too disgusting and repulsive to me to go through it. So you're going to see me learn to use the Gomco clamp live here today. Which is probably how most medical students and doctors learn to circumcise babies anyway. They watch one and then they do one. And so that's pretty much where I stand. I mean, I know how to disassemble it, but so I will be doing that during this live broadcast. These clowns out there who say, don't you have something more important to protest? No, we do not have anything more important to protest. This is the most serious human rights issue of the 21st century in the world. The genital mutilation of children, boys and girls around the world. And people are wringing their hands and saying, why can't we stop girl circumcision? Well, listen, you damn hypocrites. You can't stop girl circumcision because you've segregated it from boy circumcision. The genital cutting of children is a historical sacrifice that human beings inflicted on their children, boys and girls. They don't differentiate. And so when we go into a nation and we say, oh, well, you can't cut girls, and they whisper and say, look, those crazy Americans, they say we can't cut girls, but they cut their boys. They know it's the same thing. It's the same damn thing. And I won't even get into that right now in this. You all have, most of you watching this broadcast know, you know what a song and dance the opponents of female circumcision are giving us to avoid speaking out against male circumcision. Just they've left intact of us on our own. And we are speaking against female circumcision as well as male circumcision. They cannot be stopped separately. The genital cutting of children is wrong. And this is a historical crime against the children of the world. So there is nothing more important to protest and to deal with in this world than the genital cutting of children. And fortunately, the Europeans are on our side. Europe never had this mental disease, and it's a mental disease. All right, so now let me set up this Gomco clamp demonstration, and you will learn with me, and hopefully I won't slice off my finger. I mentioned to you that I've been wanting to try this, to practice this, and I just can't. I've had this box of rubber gloves sitting here on my desk, and I took them off. I took a couple of out about a month and a half ago, and I don't know. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So you're seeing me now. I'm gonna put these gloves on and learn how to circumcise a baby with a Gomco clamp. Okay, so here it is. This is a little imitation baby penis that I've made for this. You can see I've used a balloon to represent the foreskin, and this is the standard 1.1 centimeter Gomco clamp that doctors use on our babies. And this is the most common way of circumcising a child, the Gomco clamp in the United States. Most men watching this were circumcised with this cruel device. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. An insane person invented this device. I have to tell you, insane, absolute insane. The person that invented this was insane. But most American men have been circumcised with the Gomco clamp. Wow, even just holding it in my, it's making my heart beat. And taking my breath away. Just yeah, this is hard. This is hard. So I have here, wow. I was going to follow this manual for early. I was going to follow these bastards. The U.S. government has put out a manual for early infant male circumcision to circumcise the African babies. They're going after African babies, ladies and gentlemen. And I should have had that link ready. It's a PDF. Oh, I'm just looking at these on this thing is just disgusting. Yeah, you can see this is where my organization kind of breaks down. This is hard to do. So rather than following that manual, I think I'm just going to show you what I can do without consulting that manual. It's just too disturbing because they've got pictures and it's just too disturbing. So let me disassemble the Gomco clamp here. You can see it's almost like a little toy. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was just a child's toy. And in a way it is. In a way it is. People that do this, people that use this thing, honestly, and it's just a fact. They are not adults, ladies and gentlemen. They are overgrown children in adult bodies. No adult would do this to a baby. No adult. No adult would do this to a baby, ladies and gentlemen. So I have disassembled the Gomco clamp. And I will show you why I picked, well, I should show you. You see, this is the little plastic thing. I think I got this off of a little, there's these little toothbrush. They're not toothbrushes. They're called Proxa brushes. Little tiny little brushes you get at the drugstore that you can use between your teeth to clean a plaque. And this is the cover to one. I searched around for something that would, not be disgusting to hold, but that would be about the size of a baby penis. It's roughly the same. And then with the foreskin, so you can see I put it on like that. And, oh, I need some scissors. I need to get some scissors. Hold on, I'll be right back. I got to grab some scissors. Okay, so let's see. I think the first thing to do is to cut the foreskin before we assemble the Gomco clamp. So this is what the doctor will do. Well, normally there's a little pee hole. There's a little pee hole opening. It's a sphincter at the tip of the foreskin that lets urine out, and then it seals up. It's actually got it's an extension of the dartos muscle that comes from the scrotum, and it's a very, very complex structure, as most of you know, and so it opens up when a baby has to pee, and then it closes, and it's just like a little pinhole, very, very small. Well, what a doctor does to begin the circumcision, and I should have had that little thing. they insert. Well, I'll use this. I'll use this. Actually, this is not a bad. Actually, I'll show you. I'll make a little pee hole here. I'll cut a little bit off this balloon. Okay, yeah. All right, so this is going to represent the pee hole on a baby. This represents the pee hole on a baby. So what the doctor has to do is he takes, and there are different instruments that they use, but essentially they all do the same thing. And if you watch the videos, you see how brutal it is. They insert this metal probe or a hemostat into the pee hole, and this foreskin is actually attached to the head of the penis, to the glands. It is sealed shut by a membrane, the way there's a membrane that attaches your fingernail to the bed of your finger. Well, imagine if I took this steel implant, this steel tool, one side of the scissors, and I shoved that under your fingernail. And by the way, the fingers are the closest analogy they've been able to come up with. Like, the fingertips are so subtle that people can read Braille. They can read Braille with their fingertips. If you took fingertips away from a person, I have heard of someone, I believe they can read Braille with their toes. The toes have similar nerve endings. But you could not read Braille with your elbow. And you could not read Braille with a knuckle. So you rip a fingernail off of a finger, and that's torture. Well, what they do, they insert this steel tool into the foreskin, and they literally have to break that membrane apart, and that membrane goes around the entire glands. And so, and if you'll see in the videos, you'll see it. It is absolutely gruesome to see, because let's see if I can show you how. Because they go down on the baby's penis. They actually penetrate halfway down the baby's penis. You see how I'm showing you with the point of the scissors. You can actually, and then they go all the way around. Observers say that you actually can hear that membrane being ripped. You can hear that membrane being ripped away from the head of the penis, and in some cases, that membrane tears away little chunks or craters from the head of the penis, because it's attached. It's part of it. It actually tears little chunks away from. And some men have craters in the glands of their penis, and they think they were just born that way. They don't understand that that's what happened. Yes, and I see all the angry and sad faces. Yes, it's heartbreaking. So and by the way. You hear the stories, these parents say, oh, well, yeah, he cried for about 30 seconds and then he fell asleep. This, ladies and gentlemen, is all the entire circumcision process is torture from start to finish. But this first step is perhaps the most unbearable torture ever devised by human beings to inflict on another human being. Tearing the foreskin off a baby. It is torture unparalleled in human existence. There is no torture like it. None. There is no torture like it, ladies and gentlemen. The natural development of the foreskin is such that by puberty or around puberty, sometimes before, sometimes after, the foreskin actually undergoes a process where that membrane dissolves and the foreskin becomes retractable. But on a baby, and for the first few months and first few years, and like I said, the average age of retraction is about 10 years old, but it varies. There is no rule. But this is the single most, and so these babies pass out. They pass out during the first 30 seconds of the circumcision. And the nurses go back and hand the unconscious baby to the mom and say, oh, he took it like a champ. He slept through the whole thing. Okay, so we have now separated. We have separated the foreskin from the head of the penis, and let's see. The next thing to do. Wow. This is disturbing. It's making my heart pound, and I can feel my breath. You can imagine. You can imagine. Um, you can see why I didn't want to practice it. Uh, wow. Okay, so then, oh, okay. Okay. Right. All right. So once the doctor, it's just hard to keep my train of thought, ladies and gentlemen. But so once the doctor has done that, next comes, I mean, if a baby has not passed out. Oh, and let me address the issue of anesthesia. Most doctors, there is an anesthetic that some of these websites they have their model circumcision that they will show you, and it shows the baby lying there sucking on a pacifier. They usually mute the sound. You don't hear the sound, or you can see the baby's. Sometimes they just give the shot of his penis and they don't put the baby's face in, and you can see the baby's abdomen heaving and heaving. You can even see the arms flailing about. So they mute the sound out in some of these demonstration videos they have that the opposition has put up on YouTube. Wow, I'm losing my train of thought on this one. Wow. You can imagine this is why I did not want to rehearse this, ladies and gentlemen. But you can see I've got it all together, and I'm gonna go through it and show you. Anesthesia. Most doctors do not use anesthesia, and I've posted it. I've posted these doctors who say I don't use anesthesia because it doesn't work. But the actual reason is that doctors can knock these circumcisions off in anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. With anesthesia, anesthesia is going to add an extra 20 minutes. Because, and by the way, did you ever get a shot at the dentist office where they stick that needle? They've actually learned to give little tiny needle shots to even numb the gum before they do the big shots. But did you ever get a shot at the dentist where, it was supposed to numb you, but the shot itself was just, oh my God, it just about takes your breath away. I've been there. Well, that's what it feels like for the baby when the doctors inject that. When they inject, I can't even think of the name of that anesthetic now. It's just fled my mind, ladies and gentlemen. When they inject lidocaine, when they inject that lidocaine into, I'm feeling faint-headed doing this, but don't worry, I'm all here. When they inject that lidocaine into the baby's penis, that needle injection, the pain is just unbelievable for the baby. And some babies, they pass out then. Babies will pass out at all stages of this surgery, but doctors then have to wait 20 minutes. And unless doctors don't like to waste time. Time is money for these guys. And so generally they do not give anesthesia. Oh, they'll give him sugar water, and they'll put a little bit of topical anesthesia on his penis. That's baloney. That doesn't do anything. So at this point, they will take a crimping tool. It's called a hemostat, and I'm going to show you what they do. They penetrate. I've showed you how they penetrate the foreskin and separate it. Well, so they've separated it well. Well, they shove that the surgical scissors or a hemostat into, and they make a crush line like this, and they crush the baby's foreskin with that. And I'm actually seeing this may not cut. I may have to cut this a different way, but you can get an idea of how they crush it, and you can imagine the force. Women, I don't want to be disturb you or be too graphic about it, but most women are very well aware of how sensitive the hood of your clitoris is. Can you imagine if someone took a pair of pliers and crushed the hood of your clitoris in those pliers? That's what it feels like when the doctor crushes the baby's foreskin. This is after the initial anguish of separating it from the. This is the next stage in the torture. Can you imagine what it would feel like if a doctor or if someone, a torturer, took a pair of pliers or a pair of scissors and crushed your clitoral hood in it, just crushed it as hard as they can with as much pressure as they can. That's what these babies are going through. And that's why these babies pass out. And then these doctors and nurses, they have the gall to go back and lie to the parent's face and say he slept. We have abundant evidence, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen me post it, that these doctors and nurses are actively, deliberately lying to parents. Okay, so they have crushed that cut line. So now they have to cut the foreskin. Let me see if I may be able to cut it. Like I'm gonna have to cut it both sides because to get the, yeah, this isn't gonna be an even cut, but it should do the job. Okay, so this is rough. This is roughly it. I've cut it on both sides just because I had to, but normally they will just cut it on one side. Wow. You can see why I didn't rehearse this. Okay, so they've cut it. Now look at this. This shows you just what a bizarre thing this is, ladies and gentlemen. So some people have wondered why a safety pin is part of the equipment for a circumcision. Well, the idea is they're going to have to pull this whole thing through here with the bell fitted over the head of the penis. I'll show you how it's done. But they safety pin it together. Let's see. I can't recall if they. Yeah, I think they safety pin it before they put the bell over it. Yeah. So I'm going to safety pin it together. This might be tough to do without stabbing myself. Got it. I think I got it. Okay. Whether I'll be able to get it through the Gomco clamp isn't clear, but I think I will. Okay, so they've got now the foreskin. So now the baby endures this additional anguish, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine sticking a safety pin through a baby's penis? Just every step of this circumcision is torture. It is absolute literal torture. All caps, bold. It's just torture. They are torturing these infants. All right, so then I might have, I actually just don't recall whether the bell goes on first or last, but I think you'll get the idea. So, all right, so here's the head of the penis. You see, here's the foreskin, and there's the head of the penis. Well, you see, this is why I picked this little thing, because it was the thing. You can see how small the baby's penis is, ladies and gentlemen. This fits over the head of a baby's penis. Can you imagine how small that is? Look at, this is my little finger. This is my little finger. It's just unbelievable what these guys are doing. They are predators with stethoscopes. So they put this bell goes over the head of the penis, and the foreskin gets pulled up over it like that. So you see they've got the whole thing figured out, fiendish. And then this whole contraption's got to go through. Oh yeah. So you see this whole contraption goes through. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you that from another angle so you can see how it works. Because I know this is all, it's all been a mystery to me, and only just because I wanted to do this demonstration did I have to master this. Often the nurse will help. The nurse will help because you can see it would help to have four hands in here. Nurses will help. They will hold some part of the baby's penis in place while the doctor or the circumciser does this. It's not always a doctor. Sometimes it's just a physician's assistant. It just depends. Anyone can do a circumcision. Anyone. And anyone does in hospitals and medical offices. Anyone does. you don't need to even be a doctor to do a circumcision. Okay, so you can see I've kind of got that in place. I want to give you as good a view. So you can see you've got to get it through here. And by the way, the baby is, if the baby's not unconscious at this point, he's hearing all this clinkling. I mean, these babies are lying there. If they haven't passed out, they are hearing this doctor. They're hearing their own foreskins ripping apart. They're hearing all this clinkling. You can hear it. I mean, it's just, you can't hide what you're doing. It's there. Why is this not going through now? Okay. So you can see why they use the safety pin, ladies and gentlemen, because it's the Gomco clamp. It's so finely engineered that you have basically zero tolerances between all these spaces. All right. So you see, this is probably what these guys do. They get that through, and then they pull the foreskin through with that safety pin. Look, see how this safety pin allows me to pull the foreskin through. See that? Yeah, that's how they do it. Look at that. Look at that. That's what they do. All right, so you can see. So now we've got this. We've got the. Here's the baby's penis. The head of his penis is safely inside this bell. You saw this bell. In fact, I can pull it out a little bit. And well, no, I don't want to. No. Actually, the bell will not pull through. I see. The bell's got a little rim on it. So the bell cannot pull through. So once you've got that firm like that, the baby's penis is the head of the baby's penis is safely tucked on this side of the Gomco clamp, on the bottom side, and only the foreskin is sticking through the top. So then, and I do know that these doctors get assistance. You can see it. 4 hands would help here. So then you've got to assemble the rocker arm. You've got to, let you see it from this angle. So you can see, before we assemble the Gomco clamp, you can see there it is. It's all ready to be assembled for the final steps in the circumcision. And let me see if I can, while you look at that, let me see if there's any comments I can. Barbara Rivera says, "Oh my God, the pen, yeah." Yeah, Jewel Kopka says, "Yup." Todd Bates says, also YouTube, Memphis baby loses penis, mother upset. Yes, and that's also on my page. I actually, let's see, I might actually be able to post that link. I think I can post that link right here. I think I've got that. I thought I did. No, I don't. I don't have the link to the Memphis baby on this. This is my laptop. I have it on my other computer, but I can post. I can post this. There's American Doctors Lie Through Their Teeth. I just posted that in the comments. This is what your baby will suffer, and you can see, ladies and gentlemen, most of you have probably seen that. But so you've got the baby's penis brought up through this thing, and you have to assemble. You have to put the rocker arm in place, and look at this little groove. You see this little groove? This is the fulcrum point. You have to understand this is almost like a reverse vice grip. What the evil man, I don't want to call him an evil genius because it wasn't particularly genius, but it was he did have an evil imagination. Someone said he got the idea from a tire iron, a Model T tire iron, how it took off the tire off of a Model T car, and he observed that and that the Gomco clamp is shaped like that. And I actually posted a meme about that about a year ago. And you can see the this is the bottom of the rocker arm. You can see it's got this little groove that's going to fit right there into the fulcrum point, right there. See how that groove is. Hold it from this side. See how that groove, this groove right here is going to go right in there. And I'll show you exactly how this evil device works. So this is what I suffered as a when I was born in 1947. I was a victim of this Gomco clamp, and most of the men watching this were probably circumcised by the Gomco clamp. It is the most common device. The Mogen clamp is too dangerous because it has other problems, and the Plastibell, the foreskin rots away, and that can cause just so. Some of these doctors have their preferred devices, but the Gomco clamp is the tried and true torture instrument of American doctors. So I'm going to put this over the screw head, and then we're going to get that. And look how easily that came together. See that? It came together very easily. I did practice this without the balloon and the baby. And some of you may have seen the demonstration I did in the park a couple months ago, where I also sort of practiced it. All right, so the washer and then this. Now this will show you. This will give you another idea of how this works. So you see, this is the rocker arm. I don't want to loosen it too much to show you because then it'll come off. But you can see that as you tighten this screw, because of this fulcrum, it pulls this bell up. It tightens. You see how there's play in that? See how I can push down? Well, as you tighten this screw, it pulls this bell up. Oops, looks like we just lost the baby's penis there. Yeah, I searched around. I mean, I didn't go to the hardware store or anything. I searched our house, and Carol even helped me for something to represent the baby's penis. Okay. And you see me doing this. I'm sure that little incidents like this happen all the time when these guys, because you can see you're working with such a small device and such a small part of the baby's body. You can see why things go wrong, ladies and gentlemen. So, so as you tighten this screw, and you can tighten, I mean, you can tighten it. Take my word for it. You can tighten it just the way you can tighten any screw. Or I guess this would be called the nut. But I mean, because of this nylon type washer, you can really crank down on that thing, and it seals this in. I mean, it is so this bell has been pulled upward in this direction, the way I'm pointing. It has been pulled up, and there is no give. There is no. So everything above this bell is going to get cut off. That is the baby's foreskin. Below the plate is the baby's penis, and the head of his penis, the head of the baby's penis is actually not technically. The head of the baby's penis is literally on this side of the Gomco clamp. It's on this side, but it's hidden. Actually, I can sort of show it to you. You can see it. It's hidden. It's concealed inside the bell. So once they've done that, And you've heard the little clinklings I mentioned to you before. If the baby is not unconscious at this point, they hear this, they see these people over them, they feel it. I just the damage that we are doing, the damage that American doctors are doing to our babies is just off the charts. There is no way to even measure it. It's unprecedented in human history to do this to a nation of people. And there are some people that say, well, we've been circumcising children. They've been circumcising children for 4,000 years. I'm not going to get into the religious folk that circumcise, because we know that the Middle East, the Middle Eastern religions that came out of the cult practices of genital sacrifice developed their own traditions, but they were always public, and they were never as brutal as the circumcision of American doctors have contrived. But I'm not going to go into that, because it's not a question of who suffered more, the ancients or the moderns. But I can tell you that the modern torture is second to none. There was no circumcision in the United States, as you all know, until just about 100 years ago. But American doctors decided to introduce this cruel ritual practice into our hospitals and call it medicine. It was never medicine, and they knew that. But so be it. That's what we have to deal with. So where was I? The torture the baby's going through. They lay this thing gets laid on the baby's lap, on the baby's penis at various stages in this. So the baby actually has this instant. I mean, the baby feels this stuff. They act like he's not a, and I want to curse here, honestly. They act like he's not an effing human being. These babies are circumcised like they are not human beings. It is just the barbarity of it, the cruelty of it is just off the charts. Now, this is where I have to be careful, because this is the closest I can. Let me see. Let me make sure I've got this centered here. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to have to be careful here, because I didn't want to go out and buy a scalpel. So I've got this utility blade that most of you probably have hanging around, and essentially it's a scalpel. And the doctor leaves the Gomco clamp on the baby's penis on his lap for about 5 minutes. And again, the doctor is going to walk off and do something else. He might go and flirt with the nurses, and we hear that all the time. He might go and he might be doing 2 circumcisions at the same time. So while this cruel device is laying on the baby's lap and penis, he'll go over and do the next steps in another baby's. And I've heard it described. It's just like a torture room of shrieking babies. But they have to leave this. Let me close this knife they have to leave this in. They have to, before they cut the foreskin off, or before they release it, actually, but probably at this stage before they cut it. The pressure, it's about 3,500 pounds of pressure per square inch, equivalent to a vice grip. Did you ever need to crush something with a vice grip? It's about 3,500 pounds of square pressure per square inch. And that's the pressure that's being exerted on the baby's penis, the foreskin, at that point, right here. Right here. And the reason why they have to let it sit is because there are blood vessels. There are blood vessels that go to the very tip of the penis. and they want to seal those off. And so by letting it sit, they're hopeful that it will not bleed afterwards, and they're not always right. But at any rate, I'm going to take off this safety pin, and I suspect the doctors themselves take the safety pin off at this point, just to give them clear access to the foreskin. Okay, so we got rid of the safety pin. So if you ever wondered why there's a safety pin in Gomco clamp instruction manuals, there's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. They pin the baby's foreskin together to pull it through the Gomco clamp. Some doctors have other techniques, but the safety pin is quite common. All right, so 5 minutes have gone by. We believe that the blood vessels are sealed off, crushed and sealed off. So we're going to take our X-Acto knife and we're going to now cut off the baby's foreskin. And this, I have not tried this, so I don't know if it will work on this balloon foreskin, but we'll see. But you might have to stretch this to. I want to be careful not to cut myself. Yeah, actually, with it this tight. Yeah, well, a scalpel and flesh is much easier to cut than a balloon. But it looks like we're getting it. Let's see, let's get it from this side now. Yeah, so you get the idea. A scalpel and flesh are much easier to cut than a balloon. And we just about got it. And I will. This brings up a couple of interesting points. Okay, did that without cutting myself, and you can see how there's a little bit of foreskin left there. That actually is not uncommon. The doctor will cut off most of the foreskin, and then he's going to have to go back and do a little bit of cleanup work. And I'm not going to bother doing that because but you can see he would go back and get all that off, get all that off there. Because he wants a neat, clean cut, and you've probably, if you've been in Texas for a while, you've probably seen some of the pictures of the disassembled Gomco clamp with the severed foreskin still on the bell arm, because you can see it doesn't come off easily. It's because it's often it's elastic flesh, and it clings to it. And if there's just one side cut and it's been pulled through here and crushed, and it clings to the metal, and it's often left on. And in fact, I think I posted a photo a couple of years ago of the foreskin. Facebook censorship was not as severe about 4 or 5 years ago. They will now ban you for posting the picture of the foreskin, a baby's foreskin, on not the penis, just the foreskin. They will now ban you. At least they would ban me if I posted that photograph. Let's see if there's any comments I should address here. Yeah, Todd Bates says cleanup work on video. Mogan Clamp, Plastibell, yeah. So that's it. We have circumcised this child for life. We have cut off the major structure of his penis. The foreskin is the motherboard of the penis's sensation and activity. Women who have never seen a circumcised man look at a circumcised penis in dismay and say, what am I supposed to do with it? The foreskin is an integral part of the human penis, and it is the main functional part. When you cut it off, you are leaving the man with a pole with a hole. The foreskin is meant to be a movable sleeve of flesh, that specialized flesh that covers the glands of the penis. I think I can set this, you've seen enough of that. I'll set this back up here if I can. Time to disassemble. So what they do is you unscrew it. And then the baby's, and they have to very carefully, did you even hear it? It stuck a little bit. I heard a little. When you crush flesh between metal like this, it clings to the metal. It doesn't want to come loose. It's been crushed with such force that the flesh, the baby's flesh, does not want to come loose. And so the doctor has to be careful. You don't want to just yank the gonko, because it would start the bleeding over. So they have to very, very carefully loosen the baby's penis from this from the metal underside of the gonko clamp. And so there's the baby's penis with the glands. As I was saying before, he's now been sexually injured for life. All his future sexual partners will suffer because of that injury. And I won't go into that, but you all can mention that in the comments or whatever you will. But we, as intactivists, we know what a destructive, how destructive this amputation is to human sexuality. And in fact, that was its original purpose, and that is its only purpose, is to injure human sexuality. The excuses that doctors came up with after the fact are all preposterous, deceitful, evasive, and false. There are no medical reasons or justifications for doing this to a baby. There are only lies to cover up the fact that you are deliberately injuring his penis for life, injuring his sexuality and his sexual relationships with every partner he has for the rest of his life, and injuring him spiritually, injuring his bond with his parents. It's an emergency, ladies and gentlemen. It is a national emergency to stop this as soon as we can. And I know many of you are heartbroken at this knowledge, and it's dreadful knowledge. But it's what adults have always done. We don't just pass this crap on to our children like big babies, because that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. These are big effing babies that are passing this on to their children. Many of you are regret parents. I know many of you, And I know that if I had a baby at one point in my life before I had this knowledge, my baby probably would have been circumcised. I know how it happens. They have it down. They had 100 years. They had 100 years to perfect their sales pitch, ladies and gentlemen, and they got it down. And their manipulative techniques, the nurses buzzing the parents. I've had reports, firsthand reports. Nurses are coming at moms 16 times in 3 days. When the mom says no the first time, they tag team you. They'll send in 4 or 5 nurses. And then when you say, no, I'm not circumcised, they raise their eye. Whoa. As if there's something, what? There's something wrong with you. You're not circumcising? So I know the pressure. I know if you aren't armed with knowledge and facts and knowing that there's a community of intactivists out here who will back you up and support you and know exactly what you're going through. And what if you've got a husband? There are husbands who are threatening to divorce their wives over this. There are now wives fighting back and then saying, if you fight me on this, I will divorce you. This is a marriage ender. You do not let a spouse injure your child. Whether you're a husband or a wife, man or a woman, you do not let your spouse injure your child's penis, period. And will someone post the forced retraction information in the comments? Because these doctors with forced retraction have planted the seed of doubt in parents' minds, and good parents who kept their sons intact were told to pull back their son's foreskin and clean underneath it. They injured their son's penis inadvertently, and then when the boy is anywhere from 1 to 7, 8 years old, the doctors, and he was having problems because of the scarring and the infections that forced retraction caused. They say, well, this is why you should have circumcised him. And now those moms are now posting on Facebook, my next boy is going to be circumcised after what I went through with my first son. And we finally had to get him circumcised when he was 5 or 6 or 7. These doctors are evil, ladies and gentlemen. Forced retraction is not an accident. Forced retraction is a sales tactic of the circumcision industry. Never let it get by. If some doctor tells you to forcibly retract your baby, report it to every agency, to every authority you can. Get information to that doctor. Publish their name on Facebook. This is war, ladies and gentlemen. They have declared war on our future. They have declared war on American men and women. This is a war for our nation's future. We are not going to be a circumcised nation. It's a temporary aberration in American history. It is not going to last. And just do your part. But I know it's upsetting. I know it's upsetting. And to all of the regret parents who are in this movement, I'm sorry that we weren't able to reach you with this information. But you can be the parent that now reaches other parents so that they don't have to feel what you feel. Because I know what I would feel if I was a regret parent. And I have to say, it's brutal. It's brutal. And so unfair. And so unfair. I think I pretty much finished with the Gomco clamp. It's got to be sterilized. Oh, you know what you know what's obscene? I told you this is the standard size. This is the most common size, 1.1 millimeter. They do make a 1.5 or millimeter, centimeter. They do make a 1.5 centimeter Gomco clamp, and this is when dads or moms, they get on Facebook and they brag. The doctor said he'd never seen a baby with such a big penis. He had to use the large clamp on my son. And they actually brag that the doctor had to use the next size up on their baby's penis. They brag about the size of their baby's penis during circumcision. And these doctors know exactly how to, they size up the parent, and they flatter the dads. We've seen dozens of posts like that. The dad comes on Facebook, he says, my little champ's got a pretty big one. Doctor told me he'd never seen such a big one. Had to use the big clamp on my kid. Attaboy. These dads brag about it. And I've seen moms brag about it. Circumcision is a mental disease. It's a physical procedure, but it's a mental disease. Mental disease. So the Gomco clamp has to then be sterilized, and it's ready for use with the next child, and it's reusable. Our movement is just beginning to take off, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're an attactivist, you are at the beginning of a historical struggle to end the genital mutilation of children worldwide, boys and girls, because we know that these children in other countries are, and you see what I've been posting on Facebook, it's just heartbreaking. These children from the third world country, these boys from that third world nation just being thrown down, and it's just heartbreaking. And being told that they need to submit to this, to surrender to this genital mutilation ritual to become men. Their people don't even claim it's medicine. It took American doctors' ruthlessness to make that claim. And that's all it ever was a claim. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in here to my live broadcast here on Saturday, April 13th.